150 years ago, on 4th of July 1874, Southwark Park Primary School first opened its doors to the children of Bermondsey.
This was a time when parents in the UK had to pay for their children's education and only the rich could afford it.
Luckily, things were beginning to change and the government started passing laws to help children from poor backgrounds have a primary school education. Following the 1870 Education Act, the first state-run schools started to be built.
They were known as board schools, and Southwark Park Primary School was one of the first.
Our school building was designed by the famous architect Edward Robert Robson.
It has been described by modern architects as a classic example of Victorian board school design. It is a Grade 2 listed building.
In the school archives, we found lots of interesting old registers and other documents,
including a record of the instructions given by the government for the start of the Second World War.
Like most schools in London, Southwark Park was closed for the duration of the war.
Some ex-pupils of Southwark Park came back to visit and talked about their experiences of coming to the school in the 1950s and 60s.
Hi, my name is Lynn Sainsbury, but I was Lynn Spurgeon. I come here probably in 1956 and left possibly 62. I have lovely, lovely memories of Southwark Park Primary. I was lucky enough to be Mary in the Christmas production. I have photos, and also I won 2 Safety First competitions. One, the Mayor of London come to give me a prize, and the next one was a policeman.
I'm Kim Estel. I was here from 1961 to about 1969. I really enjoyed myself at this school and have hundreds of fond memories. In the classroom, we used to have milk monitors, and they'd come round with the milk, which, to be fair, I hated because it was always warm. And it was that long ago that we used to have desks we'd have ink monitors, and we'd have pens that we had to use ink to do some writing, handwriting, which was very messy. It really get all over your fingers.
I was here from, I think, 1959 until 1967. My name then was Jean Fruin. I was probably in reception class, and I had my best friend was at that time someone called Kay, and I also had a friend called Kenny. And one day Kay wasn't at school, and so it was definitely my idea, and yet I was really shy and retiring. I said to Kenny, shall we go and see why she's not at school? So the pair of us left school, it must have been break time or lunchtime, trotted off to Slipper's place to go and see why she was not at school, and knocked at the door of where they lived in a Rika house. And her mum answered the door and said, what are you two doing? She said, we've come to see how Kay is. And she said, get back to school. And we came back to school on our own, back we came. And I can't decide whether nobody ever noticed, which I can't see that really happening, but I've got no recollection of being in trouble.
I've been associated with the school for most of my life actually. It started a long, long time ago when I was 4 years old. Children came here, and I've just found out that my dad came here as well, or my dad's family. There used to be outside toilets, which were really, really scary. There were always big spiders there, and they were always freezing cold, even in the summer. There were 3 different halls. This classroom here used to be part of one of the halls, and next door used to be the library.
I'm Jim Estel. I was known as Jimmy in those days. I started would have been 1958. Mr. Hughes was the headmaster. I did this beautiful drawing of Tower Bridge, and Mr. Hughes liked it so much, he framed it. And he put it on the wall in the school.
Wow. I can always remember one of the big memories is going to the head teacher and reading with him and getting a sweet as a reward.
Another really fond memory of being in the early part of the school was Miss Rain. At lunchtime she would play the piano beautifully. And I think that's where my first love of music, started. I used to have a sleep perhaps the year after nursery, call it nursery, we used to have a sleep in the hall.
Yeah, as I say, it was
on those
outside.
mats.
Yeah.
And do you remember there was a resident nurse? When we come back to school from the summer holidays, the first thing we noticed was these floors had all been varnished. They were all like new.
It smelled new.
It smelled new, and when you walked in them, it was almost almost sticky, you know.
So my name's Alison Perkins, and I was here. If I was in the infant, if I was born in 66, so I probably would have been in the nursery 69, 70, and I left the year before. I would have gone to senior school, so we moved. So I would have been 76 probably. I left here.
Yeah. And I was born in 62, so I probably came in the nursery in 1965, and I left in 1973.
And your name is?
Oh, Joanne.
Assistant.
Oh, I was Joanne Perkins. I'm now Joanne Perkins.
So I'm David Martin, which is Joanne and Alison's cousin. So I would have been here, so I've been probably the same as you, 66
Yeah, you were a year
to
old.
1973. Four, sorry. And my mother worked here as well.
And we also had your dad went here, Charles
Yes,
Martin.
my dad went here.
Our mother went here, Sylvia Martin.
Her mother went here.
So our nan went here. So her name would have been Grace Glom, and her mother went here.
Oh, we went to Swanage.
Swanage. School journey. No, it was a house.
It was a house, yeah, it was a
wasn't
house,
it? We used
yeah.
to go to.
Yeah.
So it was just in a room, and there was 4 of us in the room. And one of the girls, Pat Silk, she had a spot come up in the middle of her back. And I looked at Pat Silk, and I said, "You've got chicken pox." One spot. So I go to the top of the stairs and I call down. I go, Mr. Gill, Pat Silk's got chicken pox. So he comes up with another teacher. They look at this one spot and they say to me, "Go back to bed, Dr. Perkins. She hasn't got chicken pox." The next day, she was absolutely covered. So I got,
you can't fall for that.
On the school journey.
Used to get prizes for growing flowers.
Oh, I had quite a few firsts. Just saying.
That's because Nanny Martin used to grow up for us.
The double doors there,
Yeah.
and the alleyway between the two schools, the shed, there was a big brick-built shed with benches. Yeah, there was and there was an alleyway up the side of the school.
That's it, yeah.
Yeah, that went into the playground.
Yeah, this would be the alleyway here.
Yeah.
This is where the tuck shop was, in this doorway, was it?
The top shop.
You know, it used to be.
You know what I said about the lady in the
You know, someone just stood with a
School's in good condition, isn't it?
in that doorway.
With a table.
Yeah.
With bags of crisps on that.
Yeah. They were 2p a bag. And marshmallows.
The space they've got now is unbelievable to what it had when we were here, although the children loved it. We had a big train. So much space for the children. It's lovely, absolutely lovely.
My name's Carol White, and I actually worked at the school. I started in 1974, and I worked with Mr. Gill, who was the head teacher at the time.
Mr. Gill, he came here to Southwark Park School as a supply teacher in Mr. Hughes's time, and yes, he stayed here and then became head. He was very much loved by the school community and the parents. He was always interested in what any of the children were doing. He believed that every London child should go to the seaside. He was very much focused on having fun within the school.
I was here in 1983 to about 1990, and Mr. Gill was my head teacher.
Oh, he was my head teacher as well. So I came here in 1988 nursery, and left in 1996. And it's really weird to see that we was children who came here, and now we both work here as TAs. And this area was a cloakroom. So we had one door going into the cloakroom, and we used to walk around, hang our stuff up, and come out the other door to the classroom. And here used to be an alleyway where we used to be able to run around the corner all the way around to the year 1, 2 and 3 classrooms. The children weren't really allowed to run around there, but Mr. Gill used to let them go around there, so I was lucky. Just about here, we used to have a shelter, a big massive shelter here with benches underneath, and we used to get under here when it rained. When it rained, it was the only shelter here. As I left in 1996, Miss Knopp became the head teacher just after I left.
So I think the building's changed, not drastically, but enough. It seems smaller than it did when I was at school. I think that's mainly because I was smaller then. But we had the upstairs and downstairs, and we had 3 great big halls, and we had a pond and a bit of a rickety old fire escape. And yeah, so most of that is now gone. I left year 6 in July of the year 2000.
Hello, my name's Angie Sharma, and I started at Southwark Park School as a reception teacher in 1989, but I actually became head of the school in 2006 until 2011. I think Southwark Park School has always been a big family, and I really enjoyed working with different teachers and also with all the different children that went through the school while I was here.
When I first came to school and Christina was still here, and even under Mr. Gill, it had been very formal, hadn't it? Everyone used their surnames, we talked to parents in the same way. The staff, the TAs, the teachers, all spoke to each other and called each other by their surnames. It was a very formal atmosphere. It was lovely, but it was very formal. And as you came in, you did change that. Hi, I'm Carol Pelleggi. I started as deputy head in 2007. I became head teacher in 2011 when Angie retired, and I retired in 2020.
Hi, I'm Carl Bernals. I started in 2018 as deputy head teacher, and then when Miss Pelleggi retired in 2020, I took over as head teacher, and I'm still currently the reigning head teacher.
So when it was first talked about the move, because we were going to have huge renovations at Southwark Park School, it was so exciting. We had meetings with architects, and parents were included as well, and we had a vote on which set of architects we would go with. The move to Gallywall was a bit heartbreaking, leaving our old building and then moving into another building. We didn't envisage we would be there as long as we did.
The original plan had always been about joining the buildings, because there were 3 individual buildings, and we used to have to go out in the cold and the rain, and it wasn't fun. I think the lovely thing is that old building going out into the glassed open modern areas where you can still see the old and the new together. I think it's worked in terms of practicality. We don't get wet and cold when we go out, but I do think it's a lovely design, and everybody who comes says that. And I actually think the design of the building enabled us to change the way we come in and out of school, which really impacted on the way children started school. School was much calmer, much quieter.
I'm proud to be the current head teacher of Southwark Park Primary School. We're very lucky to have this amazing school building which has so much history and hopefully many, many years to come of future learning. I want to thank everybody for sharing their memories, and we hope you enjoy this video.